All right, so in a few moments, we're going to watch this world record progression video. We're a little bit behind schedule because I took a nosedive off the cliffs, but the plan was just before that. We have kind of a nice surprise. We were going to be playing one more game, and this is to sort of redeem Cedric, because after the game is over, everybody sort of hates Cedric. But let us play kind of a redeeming fan game that will really help to dispel the myth of Cedric's ineptitude. Hold on, I need to put the volume a tiny bit lower. I suppose I'll be the narrator. After the after the dealings in King's Quest VIII trademark, the royal family of Daventry is planning a celebration. Little do they know of the horrible monstrosity that will invade their family.
Somebody nailed a fly out on my tree. Yum! I love the taste of paper. Wait a minute, that could be useful. Ooh, it says the birthday of Prince Alexandra and Princess Rosetta will be celebrated in the land of the Green Isles.
They forgot to record this voice line.
I guess I do have connections with Graham's family, and I'm sure there's plenty of food there. If it weren't for Crispin putting that stupid anti-flying curse on me for soiling his flower garden, I could just fly there. I'll have to find a way to lift the curse.
And so we go on our quest. Here we go. Well, this is the book icon. I don't know if I should turn the volume up at all, but there's King's Quest. I think it's King's Quest VII music in the background. Like, really bad rendition of it. Anyway. This might be a good point to save our game, so let's take a look at this. Here's our wonderful menu. Except the save function doesn't do anything. Neither does restoring the game. New game will work, as if you wanted to play this game twice. Quit and cancel will work. As far as I know, the sliders don't actually do anything, because this isn't changing anything at all. Alright, let's look at what we've got here. We've got a wagon. We've got this path here. Let's go see what's up here.
Cedric, look out! It's another poisonous snake.
That's exactly what everyone came for, to hear that. So yes, you can die in the game. The poisonous snake blocks the path to Crispin's house. You can barely see my cursor. Oh! Heed your own warnings, Cedric. Let's try again. Alright, let's go back here. We can't go past that yet. So let's see if there's anything let's see if there's anything in here as a whole here. Is this King's Quest IX? It should have been. Well, this is where Cedric lives, apparently. There's a yellow submarine. Cedric looks at the brightly colored submarine.
I think they can tell what I'm doing, narrator.
And under here we have a very hard to find, or at least it was for me when I played this earlier, hotspot of Under the Bed. It's episode 5 of TSL, indeed. Cedric bends down and takes a dirty sock and a brown blanket from under his bed. Don't ask me what Cedric's doing with that sock. Oh, there's the point sting. Let's see what's over here. Oh, look, it's a giant hole in the ground, except no, it's an inverted tower, which I would have thought that's what a hole is, but let's check it out and try not to fall in. Oh, apparently we can just walk right over the hole.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
Yes,
Well then, who is it?
Rapunzel.
Ooh,
Well, aren't you going to get me out?
why don't you just use your hair?
Can't you see? The tower's been inverted.
Ooh, I see. Well, I'll go see if I can find a way for you to get out.
Alright, so we need to get her out. Let's see what's over here. It is I, Rapunzel. Oh, there's a scorpion. Now, I would show you this death, except the problem is that screen where it says to retry, that actually doesn't work, and you're soft locked, and you have to restart the game if you die to this. And as much as all of you want to see the opening sequence again, we are not going to do that. We are going to walk right over the hole. Let's see what's behind this rock here. Cedric looks behind the rock to find a scorpion trainer.
I'm sure this will come in handy.
Where's my points? There we go. Oh, but wait a minute. What if you want another one? Cedric looks behind the rock.
I'm sure this will come in handy.
But there's more. You can actually do this as many times as you want. It will actually keep increasing your score. So I don't know if I don't know if there's a ceiling to this if it crashes after a certain point, but you can actually get above the maximum score just by this. This is Owl's Quest, a fan-made game. So now we should have beaten the game already because we got the full score, but no. All right. Let's head on over here. And now we can use the Scorpion Trainer. I don't know what a Scorpion Trainer is either. Which one is it? Scorpion Trainer. I can't tell what this icon is supposed to be. I don't know. Cedric uses the Scorpion Trainer to scare away the scorpion.
Move it, Buster.
Wait, before you go into the cave, remember the words open sesame.
Ooh, like sesame seeds? Those are my favorite.
Just use it on the door, will you?
The points ding is very delayed. I love that the music cues just cut out. Cedric picks up the lamp and carries it with him.
Open sesame.
Alright, so... not a cave, but a different plane of existence. So, now we have the lamp. We can now rescue
Here,
Rapunzel.
use this to get out.
What? A lamp? How am I supposed to get out of here with a lamp? Oh, I wish I was out of here. Oh, that's how.
No, don't I get a token of appreciation for getting you out?
Not unless you can get me a steed to ride on.
Blast.
Alright, so let's go find a steed, and if you all remember, the only thing that vaguely fits that description, this red wagon over here. We're making history right now. Except, we can't really do anything with it, because it doesn't look like a steed yet, so let's use this blanket here. Alright, now it's looking more like a horse now. And let's put this on here. Hey, look at this! It's our steed. Cedric pushes the horse wagon onto the next screen. Good job, Cedric. Good, you got my horse.
Here, have this snake slayer in return for rescuing me.
A rock? You call this rock a snake slayer?
Hey, be happy you got something.
Whoosh. Alright, now we have that. We can get past the poisonous snake. And our score is now what? 12 out of 8. We ought to be proud of ourselves. The snake runs away from the snake slayer.
Do you know? It works.
And now we can go to Crispin's house to get him to lift the curse. This Gandalf looking dude.
Crispin.
Cedric.
Oh, your flower garden looks lovely. Pity if something were to happen to it.
You wouldn't dare.
Oh, but I would, Crispin. You see, I'm getting a bit tired of this curse.
Okay, I see what you're getting at. I'll lift the curse. Bippity, boppity, boo.
Much obliged. Now I'll be leaving.
Oh, and it's waiting for me to click. And so Cedric flies on to the land of the Green Isles.
Oh, I'm finally here. Excuse me. Do you know the way to the castle? Ooh, why yes. Just follow that road to the left and you'll come to it. Why, thank you. Well, I'm glad I finally got to help someone out on their adventures. Uh-oh!
And then it just crashes. That was, I think isn't that the widow from King's Quest 6? That spell, I think. All right. Quality. So, now that I've sufficiently set your expectations low, we are about to watch this video. So this is the world record progression of King's Quest V. Just a few things to mention. Oh, thank you, Chuck. Couple of things to mention. The stream is running at 720p and like a low bit rate so we don't drop frames. The YouTube video itself is going to be 1080, so it'll be higher quality there. We already did Shorty's world record progression of Owl's Quest. That was it right there. Does that air freshener work? That is actually a nightlight for my kiddos. Thank you for asking. So because the runs, you couldn't appreciate the 480p, the 480p runs, unless it was in 1080. What is cooking with Shorty happening? We can make that a sub goal. Funny story. So I tried, just as an experiment, I tried upscaling Shrek's PBs using like some AI thing, but it just took, first of all, it took forever, and second, it like really filled up my hard drive because I accidentally hit like it to increase it by more than what I wanted because it was trying to upscale Shrek's 480p runs to 4K. And so the hard drive ran out of space. And it took like a day and a half to even get to that point. So, no, we will not do that. Let me know if the overall volume needs to be changed. I'm going to put it back to where earlier this seemed to be okay. But yell at me if it needs to do anything. And then I'm going to be running this through VLC. Sometimes, for whatever reason, OBS takes like a second or two to detect that that VLC is running, so there might be like a second of whack or whatever. Enjoy. I will be in chat. I'm going to turn the mic off in just a second, but I will be hanging out. Had a lot of fun making it. Hope you enjoy it, and just hope that your night is going well. Sierra Online's King's Quest V is a seminal adventure game, a remarkable and innovative evolution in the series. The previous King's Quest entries required players to type commands to interact with the game world. King's Quest V replaces this typing with a point-and-click interface and features a massive leap in graphical quality. The game was originally released in 1990 on floppy disk, and in 1992, Sierra released a CD version, which added voice acting. Playing King's Quest V really feels like stepping into a fairy tale. I remember playing this game with my father as a kid and taking months to explore the game's immersive magical landscapes. It's hard to imagine anyone rushing through this. But today, we're going to look at a select group who have proudly done just that. This is the history of King's Quest V speedrunning. The game begins with the evil wizard Mordax stealing Castle Daventry, with most of the royal family still inside. Thankfully, King Graham happens to be taking a stroll at the time. Graham returns to an empty field and Cedric, the talking owl, who witnessed everything. With a bit of magic dust, Graham flies to the land of Serenia and meets the good wizard Crispin, who gives Graham a busted magic wand and orders Cedric to guide you in your quest to save your family. Widely known as one of the best sidekicks in video game history, Cedric is brave.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm not going in there. Can't you read the sign?
Helpful.
Oh, I'll wait for you out here. I don't like that place.
Insightful?
Cedric is too busy looking around and doesn't seem to be paying any attention to Graham at the moment.
And always willing to lead the charge into danger.
Well, it looks like there's no way in. Let's turn back.
Come on, Cedric!
To begin our own journey into the history of speedrunning this game, we'll need to go back to February 2009 with a run by Shady Paradox, best known for his classic Let's Plays of adventure games like the Myst series and many Sierra titles. Shady Paradox is running the CD version of the game, and the run is full of wonderful commentary on things like unskippable cutscenes.
You know what this should be? This should be another one of those little cartoons that you can skip. But no, we have to actually click through this garbage.
Cedric's helpful advice.
Shut up, Cedric.
And the luck at Mordax Castle, which we'll get to in a bit.
Any strategy I employ that saves time now is just going to be wasted later, because there's like a random number generator that determines when everything shows up.
The early game finds Graham near the town of Serenia. Before leaving this area, Graham needs to gather the necessary supplies to survive the freezing cold of the Great Mountains and beyond. Graham must also venture through the endless desert, where it's extremely easy to die of thirst. You need to drink at least once every 7 screens, either at the sparse oases or at this water jug at a bandit camp. Otherwise, Graham collapses and it's game over. Shady Paradox realizes that drinking water from the bandit camp takes much longer than drinking from an oasis. He hits this oasis twice, once on the way to the bandit camp and once on the way out. After returning from the desert, Graham needs to brave the witch's forest. Once he steps past this screen, he's trapped until he defeats the evil witch, or if he doesn't have the necessary items, spends the rest of his life as a toad. There's a 50-50 chance of the witch appearing on each screen and firing this potentially game-ending spell at you. The less distance the spell has to travel, the more time you save. Shady Paradox walks left, and then right. You would think this would just put Graham right back in his starting position, but this actually reduces the overall walking distance by a full screen because the forest magically removes the first screen after Graham enters. Shady Paradox meets the witch here, where the spell travels for about a second and a half. After a quick shopping spree through town, we have all we need to progress through the mountains. Shady makes his way to the beach, then the Harpy Island, and is rewarded with this 3-minute-long unskippable cutscene, which he continues to complain about.
Skip. I want to skip this. Oh, maybe I can take a stretch break and a snack break and a nap break after all.
Finally, we arrive at Mordak's castle, so let's take a deep breath and talk about how this works. First, Shady Paradox grabs this fish, which he'll need later, and then breaks into the castle using this grate. Cedric bravely stays behind, and now we're stuck in a maze. Shady Paradox finds the way out, and then grabs a bag of peas. I promise this becomes important later. We also befriend Cosima, a princess that Mordak has forced into servitude. Alright, now here's where things get interesting. We have to purposely get caught by this blue beast and let it throw us into a dungeon. The beast, which the game internally calls the henchman, can show up in any of 4 rooms: the organ room, the north dining room, the south dining room, or the bottom of these stairs. Whether he shows up or not on each screen is random. Additionally, how long you have to wait, if he appears at all, is also luck-based. To make matters worse, there's also a chance that a cat will appear on either of these screens. The cat is actually Mordak's brother, Mannanan, in cat form, and meeting him at this point means that just a few moments later, Mordak will teleport in and do his best Darth Vader impression. Shady Paradox moves for the north dining room, where there's a 75% chance of encountering the beast, with a wait time between 4 and 10 seconds. Shady gets an average beast, almost 6 seconds. After this magic door disappears, the game starts a timer that lasts randomly between 20 and 40 seconds. Shady Paradox has to wait 35 seconds before the princess from earlier, Cosima, comes to our rescue. We follow Cosima back to the kitchen where we started and venture once more into the castle. This time we don't want to get caught because the loose stone in the dungeon is now permanently secured and getting caught means game over. Instead, when the henchman shows up a second time, we have to throw the bag of peas at him.
Oh, good.
I know. Don't ask me how you were supposed to know that. Shady Paradox finds the cat at the foot of the stairs, so he tosses the fish, then bags it with the empty sack of peas. If you don't have the fish and the empty sack, you'll have no way to stop the cat from tattling on you and ending your game. With that done, we enter Mordak's bedroom. There's a 10% chance of Mordak just randomly being here to end your run, but Shady Paradox avoids this. To the south, Mordak has an impressive library. Entering this room starts a 2-minute-long in-game timer. So, in another instance of how were you supposed to know that, Shady Paradox waits. Seriously, you can't leave or the timer resets and there's nothing else to do here. After 2 minutes is up, Mordak teleports in, somehow unable to see you through the doorway, and settles down for a nap. We grab Mordak's magic wand and then travel east to the laboratory. Using this machine, we need to transfer the magical power from Mordak's wand to Crispin's wand, the barely working one he gave us way back in the opening cinematic. If you played this game a while back, there's a very good chance that you got the dreaded out of heap or out of handles error. This is a memory-related bug that causes the game to crash. One way to get around it is to set the speed to maximum and put the detail setting all the way down, which is exactly what Shady Paradox did. Low detail also skips Cedric's flying animations on screen transitions, which saves around 40 seconds over the course of the run. And obviously, anything that gives you less Cedric is worth doing. After the machine does its thing, Mordak shows up, angry at having been woken up from his nap, and turns into this thing. Graham, having learned a few spells of his own, turns into a tiger and the two have a wizard's duel, with each combatant turning into something different to best the other. Graham wins, of course, and that's the last player action in the game.
Okay, I won the game. There, I did it. I finished it. I'm done with this sucker. Awesome. I kick ass.
Now, there is something I should let you know. Shady Paradox explained to me that this was his first video with microphone and was essentially a trial run at doing video game commentary. He couldn't remember exactly, but he's pretty sure he recorded the first part of the run before the castle, and then recorded the part in the castle separately in order to preserve the earlier commentary he liked in case the RNG went poorly. In other situations, this might be cause for criticism, but we ought to keep in mind that Shady Paradox's purpose was entertainment and not competition. The video doesn't even have a timer and was never submitted to any leaderboards. In 2009, no King's Quest leaderboards even existed. So, although it might not be a valid speedrun by modern standards, it is historic and showcases many techniques that would remain important as the world record continued to lower. If we did time this run from first movement to last action, the official time would have been 39 minutes and 57 seconds. This time wouldn't be beaten until 5 years later by runner Korzik. Korzik is running the game in ScumVM instead of the DOSBox emulator. Unsurprisingly, PC games from the early 1990s were not designed to run on modern computers. To even get the games working, you need special programs like the DOSBox emulator, which is what Shady Paradox was using. Another program, ScumVM, can also get old games working on modern PCs. It's essentially an alternative game engine that can read the game's data files. Graham's walking speed in ScumVM is slower, but screen transitions are faster, so overall travel time turns out to be a wash. Aside from emulation differences, Korzik uses the Tab shortcut key to open inventory. This means he can pre-position the cursor exactly where the inventory item will appear, so he doesn't need to move his mouse up and down from the menu bar each time. Next, in the Witch's Forest, instead of walking left, Korzik walks right and then left. This would have put him ever so slightly closer to the witch, but Korzik gets unfavorable RNG and the witch appears here. The spell takes 2.5 seconds as opposed to Shady Paradox's 1.5. At the castle, we see the first instance of Great Skip, a glitch that saves about a second by skipping the animation of Graham opening the grate. Now, remember how I said there was a 75% chance of the blue beast showing up in the dining room? He can actually show up one room earlier, in the organ room, but the chances are slimmer, only 50%. If he does appear, he'll do so somewhere between 2 and 4 seconds. Korzik lucks out on this run, and his luck continues in the dungeon, having to wait only 25 seconds for Cosima. Next, instead of using the peas on the blue beast and bagging the cat, which took 45 seconds in Shady Paradox's run, Korzik heads straight for the library, having skipped the peas and fish altogether. This is especially risky considering that Korzik doesn't even make safety saves. If the cat or blue beast shows up on any of these screens, it's game over. Thankfully, Korzik encounters neither and saves considerable time. After the 2-minute wait and the wizard's duel at the end, Korzik had earned a 34-26. Not getting the peas and fish means that Korzik didn't achieve the full score, so this was technically an any percent run, while Shady Paradox's run was in the 100% category. In addition to his YouTube upload, Korzik made a Speed Demos archive forum post where he claims he made around 200 attempts before getting this record. Intriguingly, Korzik also explains that in very rare instances, Queen Isabella's dialogue was cut off prematurely, but he has no clue what causes this to happen.
I have so thoughtlessly invaded my territory without my permission or knowledge.
Poor Graham. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Korzik's record would stand for another 1.5 years, until January 2016, when it was beaten by a runner named Wolvie. She graphed out the timings of walking from each edge of the screen to another for every screen in the game, noting where she could save time. Instead of using ScumVM like Korzik, Wolvie has reverted back to DOSBox, except with a major difference in the cycles setting. DOSBox cycles are the amount of instructions DOSBox tries to emulate each millisecond. Shady Paradox had his cycles set to 3000, presumably because that was the default at the time. Korzik used ScumVM, which doesn't allow you to change this. Wolvie, however, was running the game from the GOG distribution, which was set to 10,000 cycles. In short, this makes the game run faster. You can see that very clearly if you compare Wolvie's and Korzik's screen transitions and movement speed. Wolvie arrives at the castle about 2.5 minutes faster than Korzik. Her castle luck is average, encountering the blue beast in the north dining room, waiting 28 seconds for Cassie, but with a decently fast second blue beast. Wolvie bags the cat at the bottom of the staircase, just like Shady Paradox. At the wand machine, there's just one more hurdle to overcome. Remember that out of handles error? With the CPU cycles set to 10,000, the crash is back, and the only way around it is to save the game right before the crash, restart the game, and then reload. This adds at least 30 seconds to the run. Despite this setback, Wolvie would finish her run with a time of 33 minutes and 30 seconds, a minute faster than Korzik. A week later, on February 2nd, Wolvie would find another dialogue skip.
What? How did it skip like that?
Some of the Harpy dialogue doesn't play, and the creature's animation starts early. This rare event saves around 6 or 7 seconds. It seems random though, and Wolvie doesn't know how to replicate it. Her run ends at 32:58, the first sub 33 minute time. While impressive, there was still more time to save, and on February 8th, Wolvie would earn yet another world record. She doesn't get the Harpy skip, but does get to the castle 12 seconds ahead of her PB. She gets comparable Cassima wait times, but a much faster second blue beast. With all that time saved, Wolvie had broken the 32-minute barrier at 31:56. In May of 2016, Wolvie would travel to Texas and showcase her speedrunning skills at Fast Fair, a charity marathon benefiting Child's Play. This appears to be the first time King's Quest was represented in a marathon setting. Though Wolvie has since moved on to a successful software engineering career, her place in King's Quest speedrunning history will not be forgotten. History would also be kind to Paw Dugan, well known for his classic adventure game Let's Plays. He began streaming speedrun practices on February 24th, 2016, just a few weeks after Wolvie's records. Paw Dugan would first experiment with the floppy version of the game to see if it was faster than the CD version. So, is it faster? Well, you can skip part of Isabella's speech, and that's about as good as it gets. Unlike the CD version, none of the cutscenes are skippable, which adds minutes to the run. Another frustrating slowdown is the addition of copy protection. At certain points, there's a random chance for this screen to pop up. Players then need to consult the game's manual and match the symbols to the letters. The copy protection was dropped for the CD version. Paw Dugan also toys with the French floppy version, which is closer to the CD version but lacks voice acting. For some reason, the French version is the only one that lets you skip the cutscene with the old man and the mermaid, the one Shady Paradox was complaining about, saving about 2.5 minutes. Sadly, there was an insurmountable problem. The game softlocks in the middle of the Mordak fight and is unwinnable. Discarding both floppy versions, Paw Dugan would begin running the CD version in DOSBox. On February 29, 2016, he would start serious run attempts. His route through Serenia is a little different than Wolvie's, going to town first instead of the desert. He arrives at Mordak's castle a minute ahead of Wolvie's world record. He's also rerouted the maze. To escape, you first need to find Dink, which is this character, and play the tambourine for him. Dink can show up in a number of places in the maze, and Wolvie found him here. Paw Dugan goes to this screen instead, which is much closer to the exit door. After going through the castle and using the peas on the beast, Paw Dugan is on world record pace, going into Mordak's bedroom.
Alright, let's see if we get the cat. What? You're never there! You are never there! Man! He's there again? What the hell? What am I supposed to do about that? Well, so much of that even being remotely salvageable.
Good.
This makes no sense. This makes no sense at all. Think he's stuck in there?
Shaken by this insane streak of bad luck, but not yet beaten, Paw Dugan tries again.
Alright, Mordak, please. Please don't do this. Please don't rock me tonight, Mordak. Yes, but there's the cat. Alright, we can get him out of the way.
Aside from not dying to Mordak, finding the cat in the bedroom was lucky in another way, though Paw Dugan didn't know it at the time. He had noticed during practice sessions that sometimes Mordak would show up faster than the normal 2-minute wait time. He understandably thought this was random, but it turns out to be entirely predictable. If you bag the cat in the bedroom, you'll only wait 1.5 minutes for Mordak. Bag the cat anywhere else, like Wolvie did in her world record, or don't bag it at all, like Korzik, and you'll be waiting the full 2 minutes. Why it's programmed this way, I honestly have no idea. Paw Dugan defeats Mordak and the 30-minute barrier with a time of 29 minutes and 56 seconds. The game then crashes in embarrassment just before the ending cutscene. A week later, on March 7th, Paw Dugan would stream the broken and unwinnable French floppy version just to show it off. After the stream was over, a ScumVM contributor posted this comment. It explains that the game hanging was caused by scripts waiting for a music signal which never gets set, and it reports that a script patch to fix this in all multilingual versions had just been added to ScumVM. This was wonderful news, but remember, ScumVM runs King's Quest V much slower than DOSBox. While it was now possible to complete the French version, it still wasn't faster for speedrunners. Paw Dugan felt confident that his route was solid and about as optimized as possible, and that future progress was just a matter of figuring out how fast you could get the game to run, which wasn't very appealing to him. Paw Dugan would return to his Let's Plays, and eventually leave YouTube behind to start his own podcast production business, but other speedrunners would continue to push the game to its limits. Enter Vise of Legends, running the game on June 26, 2016. Vise uses several key improvements inside the desert and forest sections. Wolvie and Paw Dugan took this route through the desert, which requires drinking from the water jug at the bandit camp. Vise takes this route instead, identical to Korzik's, which skips the walk time to the jug, as well as the much longer drinking animation. Vise's route in the dark forest is also more efficient. Like Korzik, this route takes us right, then left, reducing walk distance. Both Wolvie and Paw Dugan headed left first, which means an extra screen of walking. Once at the castle, Vise gets Great Skip, then employs another time-saving strategy after waiting for Cosima. Normally, you follow Cassie, and on every screen, Graham has to wait out her walking animation, unable to move. However, it's possible to lose Cosima, for instance by quickly dipping down and back up. As long as you know the way back yourself, you've now gained all that animation time back, saving about 5 seconds. Afterwards, Vise gets the rare fast blue beast in the organ room. He finds the cat in the bedroom, which saves 30 seconds of waiting for Mordak, and following the annoying save, restart, and reload to avoid the crash, Vise would finish with a 29:16, 40 seconds faster than Paw Dugan. Continuing 2016's domination over King's Quest V, runner Bloogbay would achieve this run on September 14th. Bloogbay displays excellent control over pre-positioning cursors and mouse movement, like here at the Witch, where Bloogbay also gets the fastest spell RNG. Bloogbay also does an excellent job of knowing when to hold Enter. Pressing the Enter key is the same as a left click, and holding it down is like left clicking repeatedly. For instance, here you can see Graham start to move instantly on each screen transition because Bloogbay is holding Enter during this section. Overall, Bloogbay's execution saves 30 seconds over Vice's run by the time we reach the castle. The skill was there, and now the run just needed the right luck. So far, Bloogbay's luck has been perfect, but would it be able to continue? In the run's only RNG imperfection, Bloogbay has to cycle the bedroom once. Final time, 28:08, over a minute faster than the previous world record and dangerously close to breaking the 28-minute barrier. But the golden age of 2016 would end there. Bloogbay would not submit any more runs, and the game would remain dormant for 2 years, until major discoveries that would change everything. Mid-2018 would see a resurgence in King's Quest V speedrunning. Runners Lumaphile and Chuck Grody would begin running the game in the summer, getting personal bests of 31:04 and 30:55 by the end of August. Chuck's personal best would have something really odd happen.
I skipped it. I got the skip. I got the skip. Oh snap. So apparently it has to do something with like mashing really fast. Interesting.
Chuck had managed to skip part of the old man's dialogue. But just like Wolvie and the Harpy dialogue skip, Chuck would not be able to replicate this. Another runner, Urquan, would also make significant contributions to King's Quest speedrunning and to the larger adventure game speedrunning community. Not only was he skilled at many classic games like Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, Urquan was also one of the community's scientists. He was not content with the memory-related crash that affected both King's Quest V and King's Quest VI, so he would scour through the DOSBox settings, digging deeper and deeper until, on August 29, 2018, Urquan fixed the crash. Just one line in the DOSBox settings: EMS equals false. This would mean that runners would easily save 30 seconds by not having to save and restart the game. But Urquan wasn't done yet. Remember that insurmountable soft lock with the faster French floppy version? And remember how ScumVM fixed this issue, but speedrunners lacked a fix for DOSBox? Urquan managed to find this post on the French abandonware forums. Someone named FChrisF had looked at the ScumVM fix and then made a standalone patch. Just drop it into the game folder and you're set. The French version was now winnable. What advantages does this version have over the English CD? To start with, the French version allows you to skip the old man cutscene, saving a whopping 2.5 minutes. You can also skip some dialogue in the bakery, saving 16 seconds. King Antony's song, We're the Ants, loads and finishes much faster, saving another 25 seconds. There's also time to be saved at town, the temple door, and getting the golden heart. Unfortunately, there are drawbacks. This version includes the copy protection we saw earlier in Paul Dugan's experiments. When you enter the bandit's tent, the witch's house, or throw the rope on the mountain cliff, there's a 25% chance that you'll get one of these magic symbol tests. Worse, these probabilities are independent of each other. It's possible to get slammed in all 3 places if you're really unlucky. If you don't get the copy protection in any of these locations, the game forces it on this screen as you get into the boat. If you had any checks previously in the game, you won't get any at the boat. And then, there's Cedric. In the CD version, putting the detail setting all the way down eliminates most of Cedric's flying animations. In the French version, putting down the details does nothing to alleviate this problem, and we're stuck with Cedric slowly flapping his way onto almost every screen. This wastes an astonishing 40 seconds. It's also impossible to skip the mouse's dialogue in this version, and many of the animations are longer, like the Weeping Willow sequence and Queen Isabella. Still, once you add everything up, the French version is around 1 minute and 21 seconds faster than the English CD. Armed with that knowledge, Urquan earned this run on September 5th, 2018. Urquan also discovered a small innovation in the desert pathing. On some screens, the game will put Graham in the same position regardless of which direction you enter from. The Bandits' Camp is one of these screens. What this means is that after drinking from the oasis, Urquan can move down 2 screens, then left and down, essentially cutting the corner. This saves Urquan a screen and a half of walking. Speaking of movement, Urquan had committed to holding Enter as much as possible throughout the run. Recall that holding Enter fires the input repeatedly, which Urquan does to an even greater extent than previous runners. After the Old Man cutscene skip, Urquan reaches the castle about 2 minutes faster than in Blue Bay's world record. He tries to bait the blue beast in the organ room, but is unsuccessful. Instead, he needs to wait about 7 seconds in the North Dining Room and gets a decently fast 25-second Cassie wait. He uses the same Cosima despawn strategy as Vice of Legends and Blue Bay, and then has to 2-cycle the second blue beast, which takes quite a while. After finding the cat in the bedroom, he clinches the finish with a time of 26 minutes and 39 seconds, shattering Blue Bay's 28:08. Urquan would continue to grind the game and get this run 2 days later. With an extremely fast first blue beast, he ended up saving a lot of time, even though he has to wait 38 seconds for Cosima, a 13-second time loss compared with his last run. He saves even more time on the second trip through the castle, where the blue beast appears almost instantly in the North Dining Room. Altogether, Urquan would shave 30 seconds off the world record, 26:08. This run would also seem to settle a bit of drama and contention regarding the leaderboards. Quan's run earned all points, so it was technically a 100% run, but it was also faster than the fastest any percent run. In other words, the same run was a world record in both the 100% and any percent categories. This was the catalyst for finally combining the 100% and any percent categories. All of these new developments would prompt even more activity, with Lumophile and Chuck Grody lowering their times by nearly 2 minutes. Blue Bay would also make a comeback after a 2-year hiatus, grinding down to a 26:28, just 20 seconds off Quan's world record. Having thoroughly devastated the King's Quest V world record, Urquan set his sights elsewhere. He had noticed that games in ScumVM were running slower with OpenGL selected as the graphics mode, so he wanted to look into it. ScumVM is open source, and this graphics issue sent Quan down a technical rabbit hole, some might even say an obsession. In late 2018, Urquan would release what we've come to call Urquan's ScumVM, or sometimes Quan VM. This was ScumVM for the speedrunner. Essentially, Quan was trying to make ScumVM closer to a native DOS environment. Many adventure games from this era are tied to CPU clock speed with no ceiling for how fast they run. Soon after its release, a game might be running so fast as to be nearly unplayable. The official ScumVM fixes this by throttling the game speed, as well as fixing hundreds of crashes and bugs. So while ScumVM was trying to move away from how the games ran originally to make a more stable experience, Urquan was trying to retain the program's best features while moving back to the speed of the original environment. While some games had no speed ceiling, Graham's movement speed in KQ5 is actually capped by the game's code. At first, Urquan experimented with patching Graham's speed, as seen here in a stream by Chuck Grody where he shows off an early version of the build. Chuck beats the game in under 17 minutes using this hacked version. This build is not allowed on the leaderboards, however. Not even the fastest computer would be able to run the original game at these speeds, and this change was reverted in future releases. So, while Graham doesn't move at light speed in Quan VM, screen transitions are faster, which saves some time. Also, in vanilla Scum VM, holding Enter does not fire the input repeatedly. Holding Enter does work in DOSBox, but the inputs often continue to fire well after you let go of the key. Urquan's Scum VM allows the player to hold Enter and works much more smoothly than DOSBox. The first person to capitalize on this new version of Scum VM would be Chuck Grody, with this run on January 10th, 2019. Chuck's route is identical to Urquan's, though his execution is slightly less precise. He arrives at Mordak's castle 23 seconds slower than Urquan. The beast appears in the organ room, saving Chuck a bit of time. He only has to wait 22 seconds for Cassie as opposed to Urquan's 38. Chuck gains a tiny bit of time by not using the Cassima despawn strategy. Urquan didn't realize it, but the French version does not make Graham wait during Cassie's animations, so making her disappear doesn't actually save time anymore. Like Urquan, Chuck encounters the second blue beast in the north dining room and gets the cat in the bedroom first try. Still, despite these time saves, Chuck is 10 seconds behind Urquan when he reads the book. So how could he possibly make up that time? Well, in DOSBox, due to a bug, there's an epic 24-second stare down between Mordak and Graham right before the final battle. Scum VM fixes this bug, and Chuck gets a 25:54, breaking the 26-minute barrier. You would think Urquan would take his record back, especially considering how it was beaten by a tool he created himself. But Urquan was focused elsewhere. First, on the further development of Scum VM. Second, he had taken over the Speedy Adventures Marathons, an online event for point-and-click adventure game speedrunning. Urquan took this responsibility very seriously, even organizing smaller events outside of the marathon to grow the Speedy Adventures Twitch channel, eventually gaining it affiliate status. On March 13th, 2019, Urquan organized what would be the last Speedy Adventures Marathon. A few days later, he would make a few casual posts in Discord, and then Urquan disappeared. Attempts to contact Urquan have been fruitless, and what looked like a temporary absence turned into something much longer. With Urquan gone, Chuck Grody's world record would stand for half a year. Lumophile, running the game on June 2nd, 2019, was practicing for his appearance at NASA, where he had been accepted to run the entire King's Quest collection. He was off to a great start with a fast witch in the forest, as well as some quick copy protection in front of the witch's house. In fact, Lumophile had created literal flashcards in order to commit the magic alphabet to memory. Once at the castle, he attempts the YOLO strat. So called because of the risk involved, it's essentially what Korzik did, skipping the peas and fish, and hoping the time saved is greater than the extra 30 seconds waiting for Mordak.
Be good, be good, be good. Be good, no cat. Ooh, no cat. Ooh. Here it is. The truth. Go in! That's it, boys.
Lumophile had beaten Chuck's world record by about 10 seconds, with a 25:44. On June 7th, 2019, he completed his King's Quest collection run at the NASA Marathon, sequentially running King's Quest 1 through 7 all in one sitting. Following this immense success, Lumophile would take an extended break from King's Quest speedrunning. Just a month later, David TKI was attending SGDQ, having been accepted to run Blaster Master. Some runners at the event were dissatisfied at how few NES games there were, and organized a side marathon called NES Block. Wanting to offer a game of his own, David threw together a run of the NES King's Quest V on the spot. He optimized this run as much as he could until he had to put the CRT away. He then turned his attention to the CD PC version with a first submitted run of 3205. By July 28th, his execution had greatly improved, and he had switched to the faster French floppy version. On the boat ride to Harpy Island, he's employed a new strategy. Normally, runners would go down one screen and then go straight right. But if you go up or down, the game places Graham in the center of the screen. Overall, zigzagging like this saves about 3 seconds over the old method. The castle RNG begins promisingly.
Whoa, that was a very fast rat.
With a 21-second Casima wait, David was well on his way to world record territory. Using the same YOLO strat as Lumophile, David skips the fish and the peas.
Don't pop out.
Blue monster just like it.
Oh no, no, no. The cat. Don't be like this. No. Am I getting... Okay.
David's performance was more than enough, and he finished with 25:01 on the clock. 2 days later, David would continue to chip away at his time. For the first Blue Beast, David does something new. He goes to the south dining room and waits here at the right-hand side. David discovered that if the Blue Beast comes on screen and then you walk north, the game assumes that you've already been caught. This skips the Beast's walking animation. His luck gets a little worse waiting for Casima, 34 seconds instead of the 21 seconds in his personal best, but in this run, he's decided against the YOLO strat and uses the peas.
Chillin', huh?
Come on, cat in the bedroom. I want the cat in the bedroom.
Cat in the bedroom?
Yes. Nuts.
Oh, yes, that's my...
David decides to wait out the extra 30 seconds in the library, which was still good enough to eke out the world's first sub-25-minute time. Not content to stop there, David would achieve this speedrun on August 1st. David's early game has gotten very consistent, and he arrives at the castle just half a second slower than his world record. All he has to do is bag the cat in the bedroom for 30 seconds of time save. David clutches the rest of the run and finishes with a time of 24 minutes and 28 seconds. David notes that this is probably the last major time save he's going to get for a while, and really only sees 2 serious avenues of improvement: memorizing the copy protection and not making any safety saves. David's world record would remain unchallenged through winter 2019, then spring, and into summer 2020, when runner Top Keck Shrek burst onto the Sierra speedrunning scene. Having grown up with the games, he was motivated after watching Chuck run the King's Quest collection and upon seeing the runs on the leaderboards. COVID-19, along with summer vacation and Shrek's car breaking down, finally gave him the opportunity to start running himself. By the end of July, Top Keck Shrek had torn through King's Quest VI and Dagger of Amun-Ra, getting world records in each. He then turned his attention to King's Quest V. Shrek knew that in order to beat David, he had to memorize the copy protection, so that's what he tackled first. Shrek got ScumVM running and quickly became skilled at the game, rising to second place by August 6th. On the same day, the floppy and CD versions were divided into 2 subcategories on the leaderboards, in part to encourage more activity with the CD version. 4 days later, on August 10th, Top Keck Shrek would earn a world record in King's Quest VI any percent, which is a story for another time. For his victory lap, Shrek would complete a run of King's Quest VI All Deaths, and then fire up King's Quest V for some French floppy runs. The first run of the session didn't end very well.
Okay, the run's dead. And now it really is dead.
He then decided to go for one more. Shrek completes his copy protection 3.5 seconds faster than David. Shrek is still behind world record pace by the time he gets to the castle, but only by 5 seconds.
Come on, get me. Come on, get me. Yes! Yes!
He and David are now virtually neck and neck. Could he get a fast second beast and a quick bedroom cat? Or would the RNG gods be cruel and unmerciful?
Nope. Nope. Alright. Still not bad. Still not bad. That was fast. Come on. Come on. Just first try cat. Please. Please, dude. Please. Oh my god. Holy. Get it, son. Yeah, dude. Ah.
So, it's the way you want to play.
That's record right there, boys. That's record. World record by 3 seconds.
After these earth-shattering accomplishments, Top Tech Shrek took a hard look at his floppy run to see if the YOLO strat of skipping the peas and fish could drive this record even lower. Adding up the time spent getting the dead fish, getting the peas, safety saving, getting the peas ready and loitering in the organ room, waiting for the blue meanie in the south dining room, using the peas on it, and using the fish and bag on the cat, Shrek came up with a time of 25.44 seconds. Since skipping all of that would add 30 seconds waiting for Mordak, the YOLO strat was officially dead, at least for him. It's certainly possible for this strategy to save time in other circumstances, but for Shrek, using the YOLO strat would never earn him a time lower than what he already had. So where could he save time? Shrek misses getting the leg of lamb from the inn cupboard and has to go back for it. This loses him about 5 seconds. His copy protection was really fast, but I suppose someone who memorized it like a second alphabet could maybe shave off a second. Something a little weird happens when Shrek rings the bell to summon the old man. The game hangs at this point in Shrek's run, losing him almost 4 seconds compared to David's world record. Is this some kind of weird frame rule at work, or maybe Shrek's PC acting up? We really don't know. Shrek's Blue Beast RNG could technically have been a little bit faster, but not by much. He could have also saved about 7 seconds if he had gotten perfect Cassie RNG. Finally, making safety saves cost Shrek about 3 or 4 seconds. Combining this all together, you're looking at a possible time save of maybe 27 seconds. So it looks like a sub 24 minute is at least possible. That's if you're really lucky and have the patience to grind for it. There's also room for development in the CD version of the game. So far, dialogue skips, like the kind Wolvie encountered at the Harpies, have also been found at Queen Isabella and the Old Man. These don't skip the entire cutscene, only portions of them, and in fact both Chuck and David have seen the Old Man's dialogue skipped at different places. We don't currently know the cause of these skips, and they happen so rarely that no one grinds for them. Recently, Vise of Legends proposed a new route in Serenia that looks like it saves time in the CD version, but this hasn't been fully tested yet. And that's all the time save there is, that we know about. But here's something to consider. Chuck Grody was helping me do research for this video, and dug through some old Discord DMs with Urquan. On September 8th, 2018, one day after Urquan's final King's Quest V world record, the two were discussing the contentious any percent 100% category split, and Urquan had this to say. Here's the thing. I have a skip for King's Quest V. It saves a lot of time. People will not like it. They will want it assigned to its own category. My plan was I would go for Korzik's old route to throw the boot on the cat and then simply forego using the great skip at the end. Then I would submit that single run to both categories. However, to my absolute horror, I found another skip, which loses points if you do it. For now, I am just going to pretend that never existed. All I want is to compete on the main leaderboard. I do not want my own sandbox to play in. That is all I ask. If Urquan ever did a run with this big skip, he never posted it or shared it with anyone. But here's one possibility brought up by Vise of Legends. If there were a way to duplicate this golden coin or use it multiple times, you could skip getting a few items as well as skipping King Antony's song. But as of now, we have no way to do this. With no way to contact Urquan, this remains an unsolved King's Quest mystery, at least for now. But what isn't a mystery is the passion these runners have for the game. Sure, King's Quest V has its questionable puzzle design, and the story feels like a loose collection of fairy tales instead of a single coherent narrative. But in a way, I feel like the history of speedrunning King's Quest V mirrors the game itself. It's flawed, but beautiful. Over the years, strategies become forgotten, then resurface, and all along the way, runners need to contend with crashes, softlocks, maddening RNG, and of course, Cedric. But the stories of the runners are also stories of passion, persistence, and with every personal best, every world record, they help prolong the adventure just a little bit longer. This has been the history of King's Quest V speedrunning. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, wait for it. Here comes the best part of the game. Wait for it. Oh! Take that, Cedric, you jerk.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I love Chuck's thing at the end there. Oh, terrible. Delete it. All right, doing it right now. Yeah. So thank you to those of you who pointed out a couple of things that need to be changed there. You will be paid later, as in never. Thank you for your work. There we go. Cedric is the greatest game character of all time. Of course. Okay, good. No, that's perfect, because that gives me some things to change. We will probably upload that to YouTube tomorrow then. Oh, thank you, Paul. I appreciate
Great job.
that.
Very entertaining and informative.
Well, that was the idea, so thank you. The first world record progression video in which I appear about is a King's Quest game. Who would have thought?
Shorty for president.
Oh, thank you, Shrek. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, so I thought that would be a good way to sort of finish up the year. Obviously, I plan to do more of these, have some ideas for what to do next. I'm happy I tackled that one before King's Quest 6, especially because so much has happened with King's Quest 6 recently. And also I wanted to get better at making these before tackling that one because... oh, well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate that.
Onesho 47. Whoa.
how it how it pronounces my emote. That's hilarious. Thank you, Shrek. I appreciate that. Using your Prime Gaming subs. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like, with these things, it's just there are stories to be told here, and there are things that are really fascinating and really interesting, and I don't know, they're a lot of fun to make, and I really appreciate everybody who participated in this. Thank you to the people who also answered my many questions. I think there's a lot of there's just a lot of awesome stuff happening, and I really appreciate every one of you, and obviously this.
KEKW Santa Hat Ice Cold CV Hazmat.
Thank you, Chuck. How long did it take to make this? So, oh my gosh, Shrek. Oh, you didn't have to do that, but thank you. Oh my gosh, I appreciate that. Oh, we're gonna let these roll in. Oh, Agent, thank you for the. Or that was a sorry, that was a gift sub. I'll thank Shrek again. Aww. Right. Well, I appreciate that. So Bill had asked how long it took. So I came out with the King's Quest 1 video in July, I think. And then I took like maybe a couple of weeks and kind of slowly took a little bit of a break. Altogether, I'd say it took about 5 months. Took about 5 months because obviously I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I don't work on these every day. So over a period of 5 months. So Leo, appreciate all the love there. That is so much appreciated. But so plans for the new year, I want to do a couple that are sort of easier to make, maybe some speedrun explained videos. Oh, Jackie. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. So next year, I'm glad you liked it, Bill. Glad you liked it. So I want to do a couple like speedrun explained videos, just like short ones that don't take as much research. Probably one for Conquest of the Longbow, because that one is like the run itself is just funny. I want to obviously work on King's Quest 6 and hopefully have that out by the middle of next year. Is that one I want to actually do some justice to how awesome the speedrun for that game is. Should do like me and work on a video for at most 2 weeks. Your videos are still good though. I think one that would be cool. I'd have to rely on Chuck a bit for this one, but I think a Mask of Eternity, like not history, but like just an explanation of the run as it's going would be really fun because that game is so broken. And then another like funny one I think would be King's Quest 3, because I think that one's just funny too because it's just such an awful game to run. So because the way you explain it is, well, here all these people do this stuff, but it doesn't matter because you have to wait, and then they do all this stuff, but it doesn't matter because there's horrible RNG, and then they do all this stuff, but it doesn't matter because you have to wait on the stinking boat for 15 minutes or 13 minutes. I think the sarcasm would be strong with that one. Would be funny. Yeah, we can talk later, but I would love to do like a speedrun explained of Mask of Eternity. I think that would be actually really cool, but that would involve asking you to like do something, and I always feel bad about that. King's Quest 3 might be a game you've spent more time looking at the scripts than I have actually running the game. Fair enough. Yeah, what we need is like a run of the game that's like just the game itself without like splits and crap on it. And like a raw video version of it, and then we would need to talk for a while about just to help me understand how that stupid game works. I think that would be funny. If you're down for it, yeah, I would love to do that. Would love to do that. So I actually put something else together to kind of finish this up, just as kind of a way to thank everybody so down. I would love to do that. Perfect. Well, that might be the next video then, because that would be easier. That would still be fun to make, and it would be easier than like researching a history, though these are good too. But definitely want to do 6 as well in the upcoming year. Let me do something here. I so appreciate that. I so appreciate, you know, the hype train people being here, and for that I am happy I managed to put this together as a way of kind of ending out the year, ending out the stream, and I guess thanking everybody in this community and kind of highlighting a few things that are coming up. So hopefully this isn't too cringe, but we'll see. All right, so let's talk about just kind of a summary of everything that's happened in this community over the last year. We'll do something that'll probably not be a segment except for once a year, but King's Quest speedrun news, and talk about everything that's happened, and and talk about how this sort of shook down. Let's see if I can actually get it to work. There we go. We'll kind of look through the games. What happened this year? A lot of stuff happened. So in Quest for the Crown, obviously we had that the video that I put out in the summer, and none of you probably remember. But I should say this. So Chuck just said Mask was in more marathons than it should have ever been. I did not remember every single thing that has happened, obviously. So chime in with chat on other things you want to give people kudos for. So in the last video that I put out, the world record at the end of that for King's Quest 1 was a 138. Chuck managed to take that down to a 137 in the middle of the summer, so big accomplishment there, especially for a run like that. And if I remember correctly, he did it. So one of the discoveries in the emulator was the dynamic equals core setting, which basically makes it run faster. And what Chuck had to do in order to get this is that there's a certain part in the game where if it goes too fast, you can't get past it and you die. So he had to experiment with turning down the cycle to some arbitrary number to get it to actually work right. And so it would run faster, but not too fast. And that, I forget what that number is, Chuck. It was something weird like 43,997, like something weird like that. Community Owl, well, let's see, 143,799 is what Shrek, or what Chuck had to put his emulator to in order to make this work. So 1 second save there. We also added the Scum VM category, which is playing the game more how it was intended by the devs, if you want to put it that way. So it runs, slower, and you're not zipping around. And we actually got people to submit to that. So Vice of Legends came back, got a 331. Chuck got a 404. So congratulations to both of them. And Shrek, I don't know if he's going to submit his time or not, but he actually did a run of that the other night. We might see that on the board too. Last year, we were talking about I was looking at King's Quest 2 and thinking, are we ever going to get sub 4 in that game? And as a matter of fact, this year, we did, with Chuck getting a 337 in February. He needs to upload the K through King's Quest 3. Absolutely. Hey, it's another run. We also added a Scum VM category for King's Quest 2, and I didn't know this until recently, but apparently Vice and Chuck Grody submitted times for those as well, with Vice getting a 609 and Chuck getting a 655. We're about to talk about the accomplishments of this man a little bit, so let's introduce him. This is Mr. Topkek Shrek, and I had to look this up because I could not believe it. But this particular gentleman who only joined us really in the summer of 2020, as we talked about in the video a little bit. He already has 7 King's Quest world records in different categories, and as of this morning, 15 Sierra world records all together, including the first 3 Space Quest games, which he just got very, very recently. So, good for him. And that's why I mentioned him, because this year I'm sure they got PBs, obviously, other than this, but in the middle of the year, Chuck got a new King's Quest IV world record of 2051, and Shrek recently he might have gotten another world record in the middle of that, I don't know, but the current time on King's Quest IV is now 2044. Never seen you and Quan in the same place. Could be. I skipped over King's Quest V because we kind of just talked about that. So, don't need to do that again and don't need to inflate Shrek's ego anymore. Chuck did a lot of work in King's Quest VII, bringing the time down to a very impressive 50:09. When is sub 50? We'll get there, Jackie. When is sub 50, man? When is that happening? Shrek also has second place in this game. We saved King's Quest VI for last because that was probably the most activity. Oh wait, no, we need to get to this first. We need to do all the other ones first. Mask of Eternity. Chuck got a new world record in this wonderful game, 38:47. Is there just enough RNG left for sub 50? I hope so. I hope so. Now we get to this. King's Quest VI, the most activity in all of the King's Quest games. A lot of strange pulling sensations happening here. Just to highlight a couple of impressive accomplishments. We'll explain why in a moment. Because of a lot of different skips, a lot of different activities, a lot of the runners in King's Quest VI were able to drastically bring their records down. Jackie, for instance, having a 19:09 in the middle of summer, bringing that down to 14:20 by the end of November. Mr. Topkick Shrek as well. This is him after like a 3-hour grind of trying to get to his sub 18-minute time. You can tell the frustration and pain on his face, but you can see there 18:12 back in August down to a 13:55 right there. All of this because of Mr. Sluicebox, the man who discovered, I was going to say most, but probably all the really big ones. Oh, except for, I will say this, Chuck discovering dynamic equals core in the summer, enabling the emulator to run faster, but Sluicebox obviously sharing with us the alt skip, the gnome skip, the cataclysm, all of that, and for that he is the King's Quest MVP of the year, and I'm calling him an honorary world record holder of something. I don't know, there's no game, but whatever. And this is actually a picture that he posted in Discord before explaining to us the catacomb skips, which very accurately describes what happened. We had Alexander in kind of a sea of atomic barrages there.
Give this to Sluice KTHNX.
I will see what I can do about that, except it's never going to him. JK. We actually had a lot of activity in the game, a lot of new people coming in, a lot of old people coming back. Too many records to talk about, in their entirety, but Just a Fish coming in, Ham's coming back, 6 doing a lot of work there too, a lot of 16 and sub 16 times. Bill Bull coming back and doing a bit of work in a recent race that we did. Shrek obviously doing work. I was happy enough to get to a 14-13. We have more work in the Hundo category as well. Also, a lot of good work happening in the All Deaths category and the new Long Path category, of which Chuck is the current world record holder. So someone needs to kind of give him a challenge there. All of this, the activity this year included some really fun marathons. Chuck getting to a lot of Mask of Eternity marathons. I was happy enough and had the honor of running King's Quest VI Hundo in the Complete-a-thon marathon, where the excellent Jackie Joe and Chuck Grody did most of the heavy work of commentating during it. We also have, I think, to thank for a lot of the renewed interest in this game, Jackie Joe's awesome Fleet Fatales run, where she ran King's Quest VI any percent and did just an awesome job of showcasing that. And I think that relative to the size of our community, brought in a lot of interest to that as well. Yes, first showing of King's Quest in GDQ. A lot of kudos to Jackie for that. And the Saladin shirt, which we can barely see. And with all of this, one thing that's interesting to look at with all of this activity, if you look at the longest standing world records, it's all in games and categories that are like really obscure, which just tells you how much work has been done on all of these games. That like the oldest standing world records in things like King's Quest III, the infamous Adventures remake, or King's Quest IV, AGI, which probably no one wants to touch. But even those only go back to 2018. And then King's Quest 300%, it still doesn't exist. It exists in our hearts and minds. Or if anyone wants to run King's Quest 6 on the Amiga, you can feel free to do that. But I think that just shows how much work has been put into these games, that none of really the main series games are any older than a year, really. So a lot of good stuff there. Really, the closest thing that counts is King's Quest 2. That record being sent. Did I not update that? Because I thought no, this is wrong. This is wrong because he did get that record. So forget this. I said earlier, contradicting myself. So this is bumped off. So forget that. So I guess, yeah. I guess the closest thing is like King's Quest 2, but that's the 100% category. Yeah, this is wrong. Bad streamer. So things that are coming up then. Mask of Eternity at AGDQ, Mr. Chuck Grody, Wednesday, January 6th at my time, it's at 11:20 p.m. So for you, depending on where you are, it may actually be on January 7th. We actually also have, I wasn't sure if we had this locked in yet, but there has been some attempt to schedule a GDQ hotfix for the community as well in February. Do we know now? Has that actually been set, or are we still going? Or are you guys still going back and forth with GDQ on that? Did what was that? What was their name? I can't remember now. I might have a horrible memory for names. Who was our point of contact for that? Yeah, Zoe Vermillion. I don't know if we have. Did we get confirmation that we actually got, like, we set a date, but did we get confirmation from Zoe that date was set? I don't know. But it's right now, it's apparently sometime in February. Look out for it. I couldn't find it on GDQ's site. So that's what I was thinking of, Shrek. There's no confirmation of it yet, so I don't know. But in February, check out GDQ hotfixes. These fine folks will probably be running some games. I know for the date that we were looking at, I will be, it's my weekend with the kids, so when I have my kids on the weekends, I don't speedrun, so that is why I will not be attending that. But it will be fun to watch that afterwards. And I can't remember if anything else was there. There is not there. So let me come back to this for just a second. That is really all that I have for tonight. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate everyone coming out. My plans for the next few days, to get rid of 2020 and into 2021. I'll be streaming some more just random games here and there. Probably some Dreamfall, probably some King's Quest 6. and hope to see you around. But if anything else, I wanted to try to get this in before the end of the year, so at least I could say that I did something right in 2020 because this horrible, awful, no good year can go to hell. Thank you, all of you, for being awesome. It's so nice to have a hobby where people aren't toxic, and there's a tiny bit of the internet that that is okay. Go figure, right? You know, this has been so much fun. I appreciate everyone being here. I know I've only been live for about 2.5 hours, but I want to end this one on a high note, and we can do our DGen stuff tomorrow and the next day. And yeah, it's about dinner time where I am. So I really appreciate everybody. Even if you're lurking here, even if I don't know who you are, I really hope that your 2020 and all of our 2020s go out the window. We can go in to the next one and be okay. Is there anyone that we think we should raid here? Any suggestions? I don't really see anybody who would make sense here, and I feel weird like raiding people I don't know, but all right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for just watching this in general. I'll put up a link to the YouTube video after I fix a couple of things and then re-upload it. And thank you all again for all the subs and the financial support there. That was just amazing. So thank you all of you. Hope you have wonderful nights. Have a good one.